So we're covering 16 signs of a toxic work culture and how to fix them from built in. And before we start, let me say we don't have time to go through them all. We're just going to go through a few that I've hand selected. And the truth is, these are all great signs of a toxic work culture. The problems, they nailed. The fixes are where we have some issue.
Yeah, what they say and how they go about fixing these problems are what we call spineless leadership. They're avoiding directly taking on these problems and trying to solve in a matter that is very almost sometimes passive aggressive.
So let's start with this first one. An absence of core values. We would say, absolutely, you got to have core values. And their problem is they're the driving force of the organization, and a lack of these means, your culture is going to progress without any sense of direction. So their fix is draft and publish a list of core values. Makes sense, right?
Sure, yeah.
It's a start.
It's definitely a start. But if that's all you do, that is not going to fix the problem of not having core values at your organization. So if I take this to my home, to my family, and I say, I want to draft core values for my family, and I bring the family down, sit them down and say, all right, guys, we have a core value. We tell the truth. And I've got this sign, and I'm putting it on the playroom wall. What's going to happen? My kids are going to never lie again.
Magic trick.
Yeah, of course not. That's
Life
ridiculous, right? That's ridiculous. Core values are actually something that you are and that you make decisions around the organization by. So core values are not something that you just come up with and then roll out. They're something that you talk about all the time. It's what you use as a lens to hire, to fire, how your leaders are leading, how you make decisions. It's the core of the organization. So these aren't just aspirational goals that you want to set and put on a website. They are actually things that you use to run your business.
In a lot of companies, they slap them on the walls. They maybe talk about them once a year. It's part of the employee handbook. But a lot of this has to be modeled by leadership. And so if the team sees leadership doing something that's directly against what they slapped on the walls, then you lose trust. Then you lose culture. And so this is a big part of the problem with their fix is they're not really addressing that piece of it, that more is caught than taught, and the team is watching.
Exactly.
They're seeing how the leaders behave.
Exactly.
That's huge. All right, next one. This is an interesting one that I haven't really thought about. There's a culture of unfriendly competition. That is a sign of a toxic work culture. So they say healthy competition is good for business, motivates employees, encourages stellar performance, and that can help you grow the company. However, having competition as the focal point of your culture will breed animosity between employees. Interesting. So their fix, if you see that individuals are highly competitive, you may be placing too much value on performance. If you want to avoid sending great employees packing, recognize performance on a broader scale and outside the confines of monetary rewards. It sounds like we're saying, hey, let's give the team a trophy.
Yes.
This feels like my third grade soccer team. We never won a single game, and yet we all got the participation award and made us all feel good.
Yeah, if you hire top performers, that's what you want. You want top performers coming into your organization to help move you forward. But if the only way that you reward them is when the team does something good, those people are going to leave. There's not an issue here with the fact of performance and competition is bad. It's what they're competing against that you need to redirect. And so when we talk about spineless leadership, you could say, oh, hey, we're not going to reward anybody individually anymore. We're just going to focus on the team. Or you can sit down and have a direct conversation with that employee and let them know this is actually how you win here. The way that we do that is through KRAs, so key results areas. So you sit down, it has 3 different things. These are the key things for your role that is going to help you win. And we actually have a line underneath it that says what winning looks like, right? So that they are very clear of what it means to win. And if you see them competing and trying to tear other people down, you don't say, oh man, I've created an unhealthy culture of competition. I need to reward the team. No, you bring that team member in and you have a conversation with them and say, that's not the way we do it here. We have a highly collaborative team and you need to get on board and kill this KRA, right? So that is how you funnel that competition in the right way. You can also do some fun things. The spelling bee. So we do very, very fun, silly things to channel some of that competition. You should go on our Instagram and check out the latest spelling bee video that we have on there. if you're thinking about a spelling bee, you're probably thinking about the way we do a spelling bee wrong. Like, it is crazy. We divide the team up into different colors and sections, and people are cheering. They have mascots, people, and they're spellers. We have winners and we have losers. We have monetary rewards, and it's so much fun. And everybody is super competitive, but it's so much fun at the same time. And so if
no one's feelings are hurt at the end of this.
No. I mean, I was a little sad we didn't win. I would have loved that dessert truck, right? But we had such a fun time, and the competition actually drove us to be closer, not pulling us apart.
Yeah, that's a great point. You can actually build trust through competition instead of losing it, and now it's creating this animosity between the team. And a lot of that stems from the culture that you set forth through the values, through how you do business every single day. And we've just created a culture where there's friendly competition. So competition in itself is not the enemy here. We're just saying, hey, channel it for good. Let's not stifle someone's drive who's really driven and go, hey, we don't like that because you're hurting this guy's feelings because he's not as driven as you. His sales numbers aren't as high. So we're going to give an award to the whole team for doing a great job. What's that going to do? That guy's going to go leave to work somewhere else where his drive and sales competency is actually valued.
You better believe it.
So that's a great point there. All right, last on our list for today, candidates are judged for culture fit. So they say the problem, of course, you want every member of your team to feel like they belong in the culture, but hiring for culture fit is an outdated recruitment strategy that will cost you top talent. So their fix is to start to hire for culture add instead of fit. This approach ensures you bring on candidates who will connect with your team on a meaningful level. Culture adds are individuals who share your core values and are passionate about your mission, but bring a unique background, perspective, or experience to the team. So it seems like there's some assumptions here that we're just hiring clones, and we just want everyone that looks like Kacy, breathes like Kacy, comes from the same school Kacy does.
Yes. When I was reading this, I kept thinking about this movie. It's an old movie, so the reference may be outdated, but it says, you keep saying that word. I don't think that means what you think it means,
yes.
Right? From Princess Bride. Culture fit, and I'm starting to see this trend around this culture fit being a negative thing. But if you read this in the article, they literally say, of course you have to, when you are hiring, you need to have someone who is passionate about what you're doing and aligns to the core values. That's what culture fit means, right? You want somebody coming in that is passionate. You want somebody that is going to want to do the job. They care about your company. They want to push your organization forward. And the way that they do it is through these core values. If you are having core values that are actually the way that you make decisions, the way you hire, the way you fire, they have to align to those two things. That's what culture fit is. Culture fit is not hiring clones. It's not hiring the same people who think, look, talk exactly like you. But the problem when they say culture add is that if you add enough to a culture, that culture is significantly changed. And you are creating a specific type of culture that you want to move
intentionally.
Forward. Correct. So yes, people are adding their expertise, they're adding their backgrounds, they're adding their different opinions. But if they aren't passionate and they aren't aligned to the core values, they're gonna be mad, right? They're gonna want to leave. And we do this, it feels exclusionary. And that's why I think there's this feeling of like, oh, culture fit is bad because you're excluded.
Everything now, you've got to be very inclusive and everyone needs to be welcome. But what we're saying is we just need to align on the values and be excited about our mission and what we're doing. That's it.
Yeah.
That's the extent of it. And a lot of people get frustrated. The employees are frustrated. The employer is frustrated because they don't align with the values. And so now they're going, they're in their hand, their arms are crossed in staff meetings going, well, I don't agree with that decision.
Yeah. I mean, think about an employee. If you actually make decisions by a core value and they don't agree with that core value, then they're definitely not going to agree with the way that you make that decision. And it's going to be one thing after another and saying, oh, I disagree. Why would you do that? You have to, if you are a principle-based company, which we are trying to make every organization out there a principle-based company, you're going to make decisions by these core values. And if people don't like them or don't agree with them, they're not going to like working there.
And one of the keys, we're talking about signs of a toxic work culture. If you want a toxic work culture, just have people who don't really align with your core values and see what happens over time as they start to gossip and they start to get bitter and resentful. And you're never going to keep those employees. Eventually they leave. And even worse, they stay.
Yeah, they stay.
That's the worst part.
They stay and they just spread this dissension throughout the organization. When they're mad about something, then they pull in a couple other people. Let's talk about, well, I'm mad at this, and it just spreads throughout the organization, and it's just terrible.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot more signs in here, and you can go read the full article if you're interested in that. Again, they nailed the problems, but we just have a little different take on the solutions. We want people to take a stance and not be spineless leaders. That's what this all points to.
Yeah, don't try and solve a problem by not engaging with the team member. Almost all of these, the leader's responsibility is to sit down and have sometimes a difficult conversation with the employee versus changing the way that you do business versus talking to them.